Welcome, sports fans. Welcome back to another very special episode of Studio Talks. I'm Joe Meyer,
I'm Rush.
and this is This or That Sports TV, the place you guys come to get the best, most interesting, and riveting sports topics, discussions, and debates on the internet.
Yes, people, before we get into today's video, don't forget to like the video right now. Leave a comment and subscribe to this or that Sports TV. Do one more thing for us though.
Share the video to at least 10 people, but ensure to get us at least 6 subscribers because if each and every one of you guys can manage to get us that many subscribers, you know how many subscribers I'll get us by the end of the day, people?
A lot, a lot. And bro, I don't know if the people them can tell you right now, but may I try to catch your energy, but it's hard. It's hard. People, for those who don't know, I don't figure it out yet by the thumbnail or the title. We're recording this video immediately after the Reggae Boys lost to Guadeloupe in the U17 championship. And if you know anything about us, we love our football, we love our Reggae Boys. So we can't help but we feel that way, is it? But we're going to get the mood up. We're going to talk about Reggae Boys. We're going to talk about a few things surrounding the Reggae Boys. And yeah, give the people a good studio talk as usual, let's say.
Yeah, man, I could do it. I could do it now. You know, it's that
All
time.
right.
Yeah.
So before we get into the performances of the Reggae Boys, we have something to talk about. You know, that was on the periphery. People, after this, we'll get into the first topic. All right, so just 2 days before our first game against Cuba, it was reported that 14 of the members of the under-17 Reggae Boys squad couldn't make the trip. And this is the first official Reggae Boys game. I guess he was in charge when the Reggae Girls played, but the Reggae Boys, this is the first window for the new general secretary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is his first official window.
First tournament.
Yeah, the first tournament where you have to, you know, the first time he's dealing with a couple things. So getting flights done, you know, booking hotels, you know, making sure that everybody travel arrangement and itinerary is sorted out. And it look good for the first try. You know, what we call a spade, bro. You know, and the other before the general secretary took over, you know, if the other did this, you know, a lot of people will be talking. So we definitely now call for the header of Mr. Chung, but we have to talk about it. What do you make of this, and does it affect anything where Mr. Chung is concerned?
You know, when I heard it, I was like, typical JFA. But apparently, what had happened was, you know, I guess the submissions for travel documents or travel permits or visas, so on and so forth, might have been a bit late. You know, this could have been due to underestimating the importance of urgency in this specific situation, considering that it's tournament play, and you would assume that once these requests were submitted, they'll be returned on time, seeing that these boys are basically a delegation of ambassadors, you know, going into, what is it, Guatemala, if I'm not mistaken, to represent their country. So he probably, or whoever was responsible for submitting these documents, probably assumed that it would have been thrusted to the top of the list, and all of these papers would have come back in very short order, and as such, not submitting as early as it probably should have been submitted. You know, upon the crisis happening, you know, we see where it was rectified in short order, and whoever was reached out to in Guatemala was reached out to, and it was done expediently. So, you know, I could just say it was an underestimation of the urgency of the situation, you know, underestimating the time that it would take for these documents to be returned, and as such, they didn't start the process as early as they should have. Simple slight, you know, I'm not going to be too hard on the people responsible for this matter. Just a small hiccup, and it's different than problems you've seen before. Like, problems you've seen before are like flight arrangements, you know, and reservations, you know, hotels, so on and so forth, where players are supposed to stay, or, you know, when players are supposed to leave, them can't leave, or when them are leave, them have to travel. Them have to travel to Africa on a plane before them can travel back from Jamaica. For sure how disorganized and and unprepared the previous organization were. But I think this one is more, relating to documents, miscommunication between Guatemala and Jamaica. So I'm not necessarily going to give the GFF too much flack for this. We see where the boys were flown in and they were put in hotels and they were ready and prepared for the first game. So of the because of the type of issue that this was, I'm not going to put too much weight on this mishap.
Yeah, and it was said to be a mishap with the travel exemption that the boys were supposed to receive. I can tell you, you're a little bit more lenient than I am. I don't like it. I don't like it. We knew, bro. We knew that this tournament would have been in February from months ago. Come on, we could have done this, and it couldn't be where Mr. Chung or whoever, because I'm sure it's not Mr. Chung that is actually like doing. You probably have somebody under an assistant or whatever.
He's the one responsible for it.
He's responsible.
Any blame?
Forget who get the card, forget who print the paper. He's responsible.
Yeah.
So you knew that this was going to happen. You knew that tournament is coming up. You can't underestimate the urgency of the situation. Come on. You get me? I say, it's not personally. I like the things that Mr. Chung are doing. I like them. You get me? I say, so this is why, with that kind of same with a credit at the bank, where I have a card even right now, but it's not a good look, bro. And I don't imagine if this happened with the national team, with the senior team, where it could happen with the senior team because most of them would already, receive whatever they're supposed to receive, and all they need right there is just a passport or whatever. So good, but I don't like it. I don't like it having the boys actually turn up to the airport, and not be sure if everything is 100%. Ready for them to travel. I don't like it. Having to return to UAR, the Ores World Center, that is not a good look. I don't like it. And then the preparation being shortened. The repercussions of that was just ugly, and I don't like it. The boys had one less day to prepare, some of them, majority of them. And if it's 14 of them, that meant that only 6 of them made the first trip. And if you add in the reserve 4, that's 10. So, man, I don't like it, bro. And hopefully, we don't get any more of these issues because, a lot of people, including us, we said new JFF, we expect things to go a bit smoother. And of course, I understand that documentation is a bit more complicated than just booking a flight. The booking flight is the easier part. So I understand exactly what going on, but I still don't like it. I can't say I like it, and it's not a good look, especially for the people that don't understand and they just know that 14 boys turn up and they could jump. So first official tournament for the new Gen Sec. Man, hopefully this is not a sign of things to come, and hopefully we can see better from this new JFF.
As I said, you can't know the goings on within the situation. It could have been a case where they would have communicated to the Guatemala government that, all right, we're going to send this delegation of players, and this time we need all the documents there, and there might have been some shortcoming from Guatemala themselves. Like, there's so many things that could have happened with this particular situation, why I'm not going to put too much stake in it. Like, for example, we saw a case where a few Gold Cups ago, we've been hearing about Ravel Morrison sorting out travel documents for how long, and all know Ravel Morrison can't get film papers, all know Ravel Morrison business can't sort out. We assume that this was because of Ravel Morrison's history, and Ravel Morrison would be unable to go to the United States of America, which is obviously not true, because that's where Ravel Morrison plies his trade right now, getting a permanent work permit within America right now. So sometimes this can just be a miscommunication, a breakdown between governments, between FA, so on and so forth. So this type of problems, I tend to be more lenient in knowing that it may not be all in the hands of the JFF. Yeah, they might have submitted the documents 1 week before, but based on all communications, I would assume that Chung would have gotten, would have done his due diligence and asked about the documents, how soon they would have to be submitted, so on and so forth. And he'd have probably received the information that, this time would be sufficient. And we saw where there were some boys who were cleared to make the trip within the time that documents were submitted. So knowing that a few documents didn't come through, you have to kind of look at it from a broader scope. I don't know the real happenings. I don't know what exactly was going on, but I just assume that it was just a simple miscommunication, and the inexperienced Gen Sec probably underestimated the gravity of the situation or the amount of time that was required. And as such, I'm not going to put too much weight on this particular matter, especially considering that it was rectified expediently. And the very, very next day, the boys were on a flight and in Guatemala and ready to go for the first match.
Yeah, and this is the thing. If it could have done so, if everything could have been rectified so fast. As I say, bro, I'm not as forgiving because
Probably the documents came in, and when Chung realized that only these came in, he probably went to the embassy of Jamaica from Guatemala and said, "What the hell is going on?"
the boys are at the airport. This is what I said here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if when them reach and then you figure out say only 7 of them cleared for travel, you probably make a call and say, "Yo, why everybody not get them clearance? What is going on? Why on the shot change me?" And then within a second, them go back to Guatemala and them say, "All right, here we'll fix it for you. My apologies." That could have very well been the case.
Well, if it is on the part of Guatemala, then that's fine. But the thing is, Mr. Chung came out and he apologized, on behalf of the JFF, and they said that he just submitted some papers, so they have to take the brunt of it. As we said, credit not the bank. Credit not the bank. He's been making good strides so far, and as I say, we don't really want to hear much more of these type of issues. But
and I don't think we'll.
Hopefully we don't. You seem to have some belief that I don't have. But let's go, bro. The competition is off. Competition is underway. We played our first 2 games. First one against Cuba, which we won 4-2. And the second one we lost 2-1 to Guadeloupe, giving Guadeloupe their first win in the competition. Take it away, bro. What do you think about the Reggae Boys so far? Just a general thought on the Reggae Boys so far.
Well, initially when they started to play against Cuba, they definitely possessed the ball and they definitely looked more technically competent than I would have ever imagined. They look like a well-oiled football team. The players look way better than they did look when I saw them against Trinidad, and they were moving the ball very well. They were creating a lot of opportunities, and we saw Oren Watson looking like a true future number 9 for this country to fill the likes of Shemar Nicholson or Michael Antonio or Andre Gray's shoes in a couple of years. That's exactly what I saw from the first game. Jamani Bell looking like an outstanding winger, creating chances from out wide, getting in, wreaking havoc, making plays, so on and so forth. We saw Mangata looking more dominative than he did against Trinidad. We saw him controlling the ball, we saw him spreading the ball out wide, we saw him making passes. We saw Twain Lynch looking like a solid goalkeeper, looking like a leader on the field. We definitely saw bright sparks from all over the field, and Bolt Barrett, playing almost as a left midfielder / left wing back from time to time in that game. From many points in the Cuba game looking as though it was a 4-2-4, and then other times looking at it as though it was a 5 at the back. That's how high Bolt and Molina were playing from time, but especially Bolt. Bolt seemed to have always been high, and I think this was because of the faith that they have in Adrian Reed to cover the both left centre back and left back situations. Because Molina, we could have definitely seen that he was playing a right wing back role, but sometimes Bolt Barrett looked as though he was just playing all out attack. We identified that a few times in the game and getting forward a lot, creating a lot of chances, and he looked very good, but getting a silly yellow card in that game, just jumping into the ankle of a Cuban player. And I will get back to that about Bolt Barrett's temperament. But we saw a lot of bright sparks. We saw a lot of good players. Dylan John came on and did his thing. As I mentioned, Oren Watson before, Barrett, the number 8, Ricardo Barrett, if I'm not mistaken, or Ronaldo Barrett, I think.
Ronaldo.
Yeah, I was not impressed with him in the Trinidad game. He looked very lost. He didn't look like he knew exactly where he was supposed to be and what he was doing on the field. But in the Cuba game, he definitely stepped it up and looked like the number 8 that Jamaica has been long crying for. He looked really good. He really controlled the game. And Jamaica looked solid. Ashton Gordon came on for Cohen, who I think Cohen is still yet to show up in this competition. Still waiting on him, the number 17. But Ashton Gordon came on in that Cuba game, and we really looked comprehensive, giving away some goals in the latter part of the game that I'm very disappointed to have given away. I'd have loved to have kept that clean sheet. But all in all, a very comprehensive performance against Cuba, and it really gave me a ray of hope. It really seemed as though it could have been a platform or a building block to build off of.
Yeah, hold on. Before you go to the Guadeloupe game,
yeah,
let me just give my opinions on the Cuba game also, and then we talk about so that we can separate the videos accordingly.
Yeah.
On the Cuba game, man, I was surprised. I was so surprised. And maybe I shouldn't have been as surprised as I was because, Trinidad and Tobago is a decent team. They're a good team. They're a big team. They're a bit more technical than other teams in the Caribbean. Right? So when we played against them, the system that we used against Trinidad is not what I saw against Cuba.
Yeah.
And this is why I was surprised. I saw the boys actually, trying to play splitting balls through the line, getting the ball to Jamani Bell as fast as they can. You could almost see that Bell on one side because, as you say, both Barrett was pushing way higher than Molina, even though Molina was high.
Molina was high, but Molina looked like a right wing back.
Yeah, and a lot of times he looked like he was just overlapping. While it looked like Bolt Barrett was playing as a winger. Like you could tell.
Bolt Barrett did at times.
Yeah, and we didn't see that coming into the competition, which is why we kind of tempered our expectations. But this Cuba game, even though the rankings say that Cuba are one spot behind us, and we're not putting too much emphasis on how far they rank coming into the competition. But I expected Cuba to be a decent team. And the first half, man, we totally dominated the game, but it wasn't even on the goal scoring front. We just looked a different team. We started to control the ball a bit better. We didn't see many loose passes. We saw, shot creation. We saw goal scoring chances being created. A lot more than we saw in the Trinidad game. Even though we weren't taking those shots in the first half. But we came out in the second half, and it was just more of the same, bro. And I love to see that picking up where we left off in the first half. And within 60 minutes, we were
one thing we never do, bro. Sorry for cutting you. We never made mention of that Barrett to Jamani Bell play and goal.
Yeah,
that is a special recognition, though. That was the first goal, and I think that really opened us up and allowed us to start playing some good football. I mentioned Ronaldo Barrett in my little soliloquy about that first game, how good he was. I failed to mention that spectacular pass that he played, that in my opinion was better than the goal. And that goal that Jamani Bell scored, at one time Valley kept his eye on it. His technique was impeccable with his weak foot, I might add. And he just hit it across the goalkeeper and scored the goal. It showed Jamani Bell's class and talent, but it definitely showed that another Barrett. Really,
that's not an easy goal, bro. That's not an easy goal. Every time I see a volley, I'm just in awe because a volley is one of the hardest techniques. As a goalkeeper, you kind of do a volley with the sidewinder.
Yeah.
So you understand how hard this thing is, bro. To volley a ball that is coming from so far is a super hard technique.
Over your shoulder.
Yeah,
that's what even makes it harder. The fact that
that's so hard.
Is hard enough, but all is coming over where you have to be watching it from over. Your coordination has to be next level.
Super. The man will score one in the second game, but we're gonna talk about that. So I was in half the goal, man. But the ball from Barrett. I love a volley, trust me. I love seeing a volley, but that ball, bro, couldn't be a better ball. He couldn't have played a better ball. It was the perfect ball, and Jamani Bell just finished it off. So we have to give them some shout outs. A 15-year-old getting that technique down, I would say that it wasn't a fluke because he almost got it right in the second game. So he definitely has that technique down. But yeah, man, in that first game against Cuba, bro, left me with a lot of optimism. It left me wanting to see more of the Reggae boys, and it gave me kind of a boost in terms of how I see this team. Now, towards the end of the game, where we made some substitutions, we saw that there's a drop off in this team. We saw that the bench is not as good as the first team players, which is not that goes without saying. But the drop off is a bit further than I would want it. And we even saw the second game where the subs came again, where Bell came off and we got the red card, and it was just a different team. And even though we started to play bad before that, which we are going to get to, the point of the bench, I wish we had a better bench. I wish we could have, have one or two or three more players that could have made it in our first 11, but just didn't because, of how the coach wanted to play. That every team up there 13 or there 12. That any one of them can make the starting 11. Yeah. I feel like we have our 11. I feel like we have 11. And then...
To be honest, we do have Ashton
especially
Gordon.
Attacking.
We have Ashton Gordon who comes on, we have Dylan John who comes on, and then we have Mahoney. So I do think we have players of similar caliber off the bench because there's not much to separate Ashton Gordon and Cohen. There's not much to separate you say Orion Watson and Dylan John is the other player who comes on.
Actually, I think there is, bro.
And Mahoney is very solid. Mahoney, Cohen, like Mahoney and Mangatal, I don't think there's much difference between the number 20 and...
The thing is, We see Bell coming off for John, and I think there is a drop off.
I think there's a drop off with Bell from John, just like how there's a drop off with, let's say, Saka and Smith Rowe, but Smith Rowe would have been one of those.
It's too far.
You have Ashton and Mahoney. I mean, you have Ashton and Cohen. One could say Cohen better. One
like for like, same for same. That's fine.
That's 12. And then you have Mahoney and Mangatal. I would say the number 20 that comes on, he's very spectacular. He's very good, and he's just as good as the number 14 who starts first. I do believe that we have that 13. Like Mahoney, he plays a bit higher up than Mangatal, but I definitely think he is just as good as Mangatal, especially from seeing him in person. But I saw in that Trinidad game, Mahoney outplayed Mangatal in the game that I saw him, and then Mahoney, I think talent-wise they're very comparable. We talk about Xavier Gooden and Malik Robinson in the back. So I think we do have 13 players that are, in that same range. I just don't think our players are good enough across the line. But back to
especially on performance, even if it's not their talent, which I'm sure they're in the same class of talent, barring one or two. The performance is not the same, and the drop off is more so in performance than in quality. Because you see when they come out, the game is just a different game. It just looks different. The quality just drops, bro. And I don't know what is the cause that. You are saying it's not necessarily the talent. I'm not sure what causes it. I'm saying it might be the talent where the players that are on the bench are just not as good because a few other players, even in the forward position. Simmons seems to be a good option, but today just wasn't as good as Watson's all up play, and even chance creation is so much better than our next forward.
I don't think Simmons and Watson are in the same class.
But that's what I said. Simmons comes and he played in that same area, and it's just not the same.
You can't expect 22 players to be just as good. So
that's I understand, bro. But as I say, bench is not as good as I want it to be. But that Cuba game though, before we go on to the second game, that Cuba game left me excited, left me wanting to see more. And understanding that we have a few different ways we can play with a few different players, I understood that this tournament would have been, Jamaica really would have taken the tournament play to a different level in terms of strategizing how we're going to play against different teams. Where we go against Cuba, we're playing free-flowing football, we're getting the ball out to our pacey, to our tricky wingers and getting up to our strong forward to hold it up and playing off him. So that good football, like it. No. Excited. Love it. Looking forward to the second game.
Yep.
Guadeloupe versus Jamaica. Second game, bro. Talk to me.
All right, so the game kicked off, and to my expectation, Jamaica came out and we seemed to be in complete control of this football game. We seemed to be playing the ball very well, linking up.
More of the same?
Even better. Even we started out better in this game, so it wasn't even more the same. We looked way more confident and we looked better. Mangatal looked way better. He was spreading the ball wide, but there was a thing that I saw in the first half, as though we were playing as well as you were. Sometimes the decision making by our midfielders, man. Sometimes there were forward plays, and we're just missing it consistently and turning back the ball. And I just said, bro, I think that's chalked down to lack of ability, lack of skill. But besides that, the first half we were moving the ball wide. Jamani Bell looked very aggressive. He looked like he wanted to make something happen. Or in Watson again, looking like his normal self. Cohen seemed like he wanted to come alive in this game, still wanted to see more from him. But Barrett, I think in today's game, it definitely seemed more of a 5 than in the Cuba game. The Cuba game, Bolt Barrett was definitely way more forward than he was at the beginning of today's game, but he was still getting forward. But it was a more defined 5-2-3 or 5-3-2 in today's game. Jamani Bell, rather than playing as an out-and-out winger in this game, definitely seemed to have been dropping off more in the midfield and helped out today, playing that kind of role. And I think it really helped out, especially in the first half. We definitely looked like a good team. Molina was outstanding, overlapping and getting forward, playing off Jamani Bell, him and Jamani Bell linking up, getting balls in the box, just not being as decisive in the final third as we should have been, because we were creating so many opportunities. And I think has been our player of the competition so far. People might disagree with me and say it's Jamani Bell, but Ronaldo Barrett, I think he's been, you know, the most consistent player for us. This tournament, you know, holding the ball up in the midfield very well, making passes over the top, making passes wide, spreading the play as good as we would hope to see from him, you know, and as good as we were now expecting from him. And he opened up the scoring in about the 40th minute with a goal that I said his pass in the first game was better than the goal that was scored. And now he scored a goal that outdid his pass in the first game. And it was an absolute world class goal. He cracked it from about 30 yards, you know, leaving the goalkeeper with no chance. And I think that goal was indicative of Ronaldo Barrett's whole tournament to this point. Just constantly being where he needs to be, constantly delivering the ball well, constantly playing the right passes, constantly playing the ball into Bell, playing the ball over the top to Orion Watson, and now getting himself on the score sheet. I think it shouldn't have taken a 30-yard goal to break the deadlock in today's game. To how dominant we were, and for how much we possessed the ball in the midfield, for how much we got the ball into our danger men, you know, Cohen on one side and Jamani Bell on the other side, to how well Mangata was holding up playing the midfield, and to how dominative Ronaldo Barrett was. Disappointing to me how we ended up breaking the deadlock. You know, it should have been an easier chance, but alas, we went ahead with, you know, a 30-yard cracker, and we appreciated the goal, and it was a good goal. But as soon as we scored that goal, it seemed as though we absolutely geared back all the way down to gear 1, and that's the level that we would have played in for the rest of the game. You know, there is about 50 more minutes of football, you know, regulation football left after the goal, and it was the most lackluster, lackadaisical 50 minutes that I've seen by these under-17 Reggae boys, barring a few sparks in the last 5 minutes of the game. You know, they were so bad. They sat behind the ball. You know, we only saw Jamani Bell, you know, we saw Jamani Bell playing deep, and we only saw Orion Watson running up and down. It was as though I'm not sure, because it didn't seem that they were like loading the defense, but it seemed as though they were having everybody behind the ball. It seemed as though they stopped producing as much forward runs. And I just can't understand what went into the mentality of these players after they scored the goal. It seemed as though they lost all creativity, they lost all aggression, and their decision making became so poor. And the only thing we saw was exactly what we saw in the first game at Anthony Spalding Sports Complex, where the defenders and the deep midfielders were constantly trying to get the ball over to the forwards, bypassing the midfield completely. You know, and Ronaldo Barrett, who to that point was having such an amazing game, was not rendered useless in the second half. You know, Mangata, we didn't hear anything from him in the second half because it was only Adrian Reed trying to play balls over the top, you know. And then let's speak about Barrett, who got a reckless yellow card in the first match. You know, he got a silly yellow card in the first half of the game, and then on his goal line, you know, being contested by an attacking player, he just did too much. Already on a yellow card and showing his indiscipline, just doing absolutely too much in that moment in time, putting us down even at a point where we weren't looking very good. You know, at that point, Suriname did start to mount some pressure. Suriname did start Guadeloupe, my apologies. Guadeloupe did start to get chances and goal. They did start to get look-ins. So that red card came at the most inopportune time, and we were playing poorly before that, but after that red card, it really, really costed us.
Yeah, this game, I said the first game gave me optimism. This game just left me with a feeling of, where do we go from here? Like, I saw so many inconsistencies, you know, and players that, as I said, were bossing the game in the first half, because trust me, that first half, I really liked it. You know, we were texting through the game, and it was more of, whoa, we had this in us, you know, because we saw the Trinidad and Tobago friendly, and this is not what we saw. For the first game and a half, that was a totally different Jamaica than what we expected. You know, we were actually possessing the ball, we were actually being dangerous, we actually had goal threat. You know, coming into this tournament, we had a live with Simon Preston, where I asked him, where are we going to score goals from? You know, we've scored 5 goals already this tournament. You know, so, and that's not bad. You know, scoring 5 goals in the first 2 games, not bad. I would take that. If you told me that coming into the competition, I would have taken that. But conceding 4 goals is what I would have been surprised about. because we seem to be defensively reassured, bro. Coming into the competition, I thought that our defense was the best part of our team. I thought that is where we are going to build our team. I thought that was the pride of our team. I thought that Miran Garden was setting this team up to not concede many goals. But conceding 4 goals and only scoring 5, that is not a recipe for success. And especially in the next round of competitions, assuming that we progress to the next round, depending on how that the other few games go. This is not going to get us very far. We can't be conceding this many goals. But I speak about where I see the inconsistencies. Speak about Barrett, which is a player that I like. I like how he plays. He progresses the ball. He's not scared. He's confident.
Yeah.
He gives it all.
He's the only player that offers us pace.
Right. I like it.
He's the only fast player on this team.
I like it. But the inconsistency in the second half, where it's almost like he, along with all the other players, forgot how to control the ball, forgot how to pass the ball. A ball that we see him hit that ball, that diagonal. That's his pass. Even if it's not in the box, he knows how to change the play. They were kicking the ball to the Guadeloupe players, bro. It's almost like after 2 passes, we're going to give them the ball. And this is the inconsistency that I'm talking about. In the first half, whenever we put 5-6 passes together, we're in their box. It's almost sure. But we just couldn't seem to get 3 passes going, bro. And how can we go from playing such, unplayable football where we got at least 3 goal scoring chances? Watson got a chance, Bale got a chance. And we scored a goal. You remember the first chance that Bale got? So
was blocked.
How can we go from that to being so inconsistent in the second half? It leaves me disappointed, bro, because this is a game where we went 1 goal up and we scored a goal in the 42nd minute, somewhere around there. And I wasn't as mad. He texted me and said, why we are sit off? And I saw it too. But I wasn't as mad because we scored a goal close to halftime. All right, let's see it through. Let's not do anything stupid. Let's keep the ball. Let's get 45 minutes. Go into the halftime, come back out and kill them again. Fine. But it's almost like that was our halftime. It's like scoring the goal was our halftime. We scored the goal and then we said, all right, let's sit off. Let's try to do something else other than what was giving us success. And that is where we lost this game.
Exactly. That's exactly.
That is where we lost this game. We need to have a killer mentality where we know that we got 1 goal up, 1 goal now win game. And as a footballer, everybody know that if you're 1 goal down, you're always in the game. Always. It's one of they say that and 2-0 is one of the most dangerous score lines, but you don't want to be 1-0 up 10 minutes to go. You don't want to. It's a bad place to be. So the fact that we didn't show that killer mentality to go and just get that second goal and kill off this game, we're gonna lose was there for the taking. Because after we scored that goal, they came up. And that we expect that. After you score the first goal on the team, we expect them to come out, they expect them to try and do a bit more with the ball, and that's where we should have taken our chances. But we just didn't. And I see sparks, I see players that I like, and we're going to speak about a few players individually, but I see sparks, I see players that I like, I see a system that I can get behind, because I'm going to give Miran Garden some props, bro. For a game and a half, I like what I saw.
Yeah.
I like it, but we're not. Yeah, and another thing, I focus again. Because I know we lose the game, so I go for a little bit right. In the second half, why the man take 5 and 6 touch on the ball before they pass the ball? Then they get the ball on the half line with them back to the opposition goal and take 6 touch.
Oren Watson. But I can say the reason why.
Oren Watson, Molina, Mangatal.
I can say the reason why this was happening, especially in Watson's situation, was because we were so deep behind the ball.
So deep.
But even so, Watson just never have him head up. So I'm not make an excuse for him. But we were so deep behind the ball that he was in no man's land and he was trying to make the safest pass. We see Mangatal it's like Mangatal confidence just dropped. Mangatal.
He played the same ball 3 times. Remember him pass back the ball to Reed? 3 times, bro, instead of
even Barrett and Kohat were were pushing forward wide open passes, and I'm like, is it that he's not seeing this? Like,
bro, turn and hold up your head.
Just hold up your head. And he was holding his head up in the first half. So one thing I want to comment, to the point that you're making about 1-0, the way how we started to play sitting behind the ball and so on and so forth, that is the way how you play when you're up 1-0 with 10 minutes to go. Not when you're up 1-0 with 60 minutes to go. Like when you're up 1-0 with 60 minutes to go, you play that 0-all.
Yeah, you go for the second goal.
Exactly. But they seemed as though, and it's something that, I saw Lynch doing it against against Cuba, you know, up 1-0 and in the first
going
half,
down on the ball and
taking the ball out against a team that you are dominating. Don't do that. You get me? I say, yeah, obviously we understand gamesmanship. You're playing against USA, you get a goal, fine. But you're playing against a Cuba team that your team is having the lion's share position, your team is dominating the ball, your team is making good opportunities. Don't take the sting out of the game. You know, we even saw it today, and where Lynch sometimes does that a bit too much, take the sting out of the game. Get the ball game moving. Your team is better than this team. You know, having the intelligence to practice gamesmanship is good in a young goalkeeper. But having the intelligence to understand when it's not necessary is even better. You know, keep it moving. Yeah, you know, you see Arsenal up 1-0 against, let's say, a Crystal Palace. Ramsdale is not holding down on the ball. You know, he might stop for a second to reset it. He's going to take it, but he's going to start it really quickly. He's not going to take 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds in his position. And that's something that this team Asada did today. They absolutely put everybody behind the box. And I'm not sure why, because we're so clearly better talent-wise than this Guadeloupe team. One thing I want to commend Marion Gordon for is how dynamic he has these boys playing. You know, I can see that how easy them switch from the 5 to the 4. You know, how easy Jamani Bell tucks in and then how wide they get and how seamless they do it. That's a sign that he's really been coaching them and he's really been teaching them tactics. So I can clearly see that on the field, which is good, which is impressive to me. You know, the way how they just dropped off in quality and confidence in today's game, that I cannot understand. I cannot understand the thought process. And as I said, Bolt Barrett, what are you doing? What are you doing, bro? What are you doing, kid?
The tactics part of the game, again, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give Marion Gordon his props. Brilliant tactics for a game and a half. I like it. You know, Jamaica play fast, get in the box, take shots. That's why I want to see Jamaica play. But I feel like the mental side of the game is where he needs to grab up his boys. I feel like that is where today you don't go in and you custom about their controlling and passing. That's not it. You know, sometimes you have a poor game and they ask somebody if you get off control. Today's not the day for it. Today you're going to ask them if they're losers, bro.
Yeah.
Today you're going to ask them, who teach you that? You know, today's where you attack the mentality. You come out against Costa Rica and you play some football and get the result that you want. No, we're going to talk about the results and the implications of that. But this game, man, inconsistency sums it up for me, and I assume that you agree, because the first half we both like, and then the second half seemed like a different game. It was a game of 2 halves, and I disappointed. But let's talk about some instances in the game where I feel like the referee had a poor game. I feel like he had a poor game. Yes, stupid from our player, dumb. The first yellow card, I think it was not a yellow card. It was inadvertent. I understand the player was just putting up his hand to shield off the player. Fine. Too high, you look at him and say, yo, you do it again, you get a yellow card. You don't, in the first 5 minutes of the game, you don't pull out a yellow card just like that. If a man going reckless now, you give him yellow card. But that was not a yellow card. No, knowing that, you get an idiot yellow card. Have the awareness to know. And you know, say that win the foul? You know, say it was his fault?
Of course, no, to be honest, it was his fault, but I don't think the referee was calling it. As you said, rightfully said, the referee did not have a great game, and that was the only instance. The linesman indicated that it was a foul, but the referee actually called the foul against Jamaica. The referee didn't see the initial foul, which was so blatantly clear. You know,
you win. You think the referee called him?
Continue holding up the linesman without giving the foul. The first one, as I said, he didn't intentionally do it. You know, his hand was high, but he never intentionally hit the
especially
kid.
Early in the game. It no warrant a yellow card.
Yeah,
it not like him.
Touch and go. You know, I personally wouldn't have given it a yellow card, but his hands were high. You know, it can be seen as dangerous. And he could have juke out the youth. He could have done something. So I'm not going to say the referee is incorrect in giving him a yellow card. I think it was a very soft yellow card. So I guess that's kind of where me and you slightly disagree. Yes, I
think it was just not a yellow card.
I think it could have been a yellow card, considering that his hands were just constantly too high and they were making contact with the player's face. I don't think he meant to make contact with the player's face any at all, though, you know? So I can't kill the kid for that first one. The second one, though...
Jesus. Bro, you have to be...
Especially on a yellow card. But still, even if you weren't on a yellow card, still, why?
But now I go too hard on him. But bro, you have to be more aware. You know that you had a yellow card. Why you swing out and a push off? Because yeah, you earn up. Probably the ref would have got easy upon him if he never did the swing and push off. Because I'm gonna watch it back, I'm gonna see it extended, man, bro.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say you're on a yellow card. How can you? How?
No, but you are saying, you know, how can you be that reckless, whatever. And in the next moment to the next referee, that could have been seen as a straight red card. You get me? Under different circumstances, a challenge like that or a move like that could have sent you straight to the showers. Like, why you swing out? You know, you have your hand up, you protect yourself. Why you swing out?
And again, I think you win the foul.
You make contact with the player face twice. So, you know, I have to be hard on the kid in that. Like, you have to be better than that. But the referee still did not have a very good game. You know, there were other calls in the game that he didn't call. You know, we saw where Adrian Reed was practically kicked in the back of his head and, you know, no sanction, nothing done.
We see our player get pushed down and a free kick and the man say get up. I'm not saying the man just push him down. Alright, you miss and you say you not get a yellow card, you not call a foul. But yeah, back off him and tell him get up, brother. Like the man literally just get pushed down. You see me, so the referee was poor today. But he didn't do us any favors getting that red card and making that stupid push off. Hate it, bro.
We definitely got worse after the red card and we weren't playing any football. When we got the red card, we weren't doing very well at, you know, and since
it was coming, man.
We got worse.
It was coming. And both Barrett's red card didn't do us any favors. In fact, at least one of those goals would have happened with or without that red card. I feel like they would have scored. It was coming. No, the red card may have been like the icing on the cake for them. You know, it may have been the straw.
In addition to the fact that that red card prevented us from probably turning it back on. As you said, our goal was coming regardless. But going down 1-0, had we, you know, we did have both Barrett on the field, that could have probably incited us to go forward again. Without Barrett providing that threat from us from left wing back or left midfield or left wing, whichever position it is that he's playing, I don't think we're going to score. And that has implications for the next game. What do we do without one of our best performing players in the game against Costa Rica? And
also one of our biggest tactical pieces, because he's so important to the way that Marangard wants to play. With almost that 3/4 at the back. 3/5 at the back. Because sometime a 4, sometime a 5, sometime at the 2 man them got. Tactically he's so important, man. And
there's just nobody to replace him. The best replacement we probably have for him is probably Adrian Reed.
Probably play
Gooden and then push Reed up in that position.
Play Gooden.
And Adrian Reed cannot do what both Barrett does.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anybody that's capable of doing that. You know, we saw in the latter part of the game they moved Molina to the left side of the field and pushed Adrian Reed to the right side of the field, playing with that 4. You know, I don't think anybody is capable of filling that both Barrett's shoes. So it's interesting to see how they go about adjusting for that in the next game.
And another thing that I picked up on this game, I want to see if you did see it too, was fatigue. It didn't look like the players get tired to you. It kind of didn't look like them get tired to me. Ben looked tired after a while. Molina looked tired after a while. And I'm wondering if that led to the drop off in quality of play.
You can understand Molina being tired, dude.
Yeah.
You know, even if this was the only game he played all week, the way he plays, you know, he gets forward so much. Molina is basically on the opposition's goal line, you know, making plays, you know, getting into good spots.
Ask a lot of him.
Yeah, and then he gets back and he's required to play defensively. More so than Bolt, who really just goes up the field and stays up the field. You know, Adrian Reed is required to cover the left back and the left centre back for a lot of the game. But Molina now, he has to get back. He has to play his right back role and then he has to go forward and play his right wing back role. I think Molina does both. So it's understandable that he gets tired. That's normal. That's human. In spite of the congested fixtures. You know, I think the way he plays gets people tired. Same with Jamani Bell. Jamani Bell, I see him making challenges for the ball in the opposition's box. Like he works hard, and that's one thing I appreciate with Jamani Bell. He's not the prototypical number 10/winger that, you know, plays when his team have the ball and plays when the ball is at his feet and then doesn't play otherwise. Jamani Bell constantly runs. He's constantly attacking. He's constantly defending. Like he's definitely the first line of defense. You know, Jamani Bella, we've seen him win back a few balls, so we can understand why him, especially being at his stature playing against bigger guys, he would be tired. And that's
Yeah.
natural, you know. So fatigue is something that you have to expect, you have to account for in a football game, and that's something that will happen, you know, where there are human beings at the end of the day. I think their energy dropped way before the quote unquote fatigue would have started to kick in, you know. So I can't blame the lack of energy or the lack of performance and fatigue. I think their mentality changed after Barrett's goal, you know, but definitely towards the end of the game, you know, the players would naturally start losing steam.
Did you see? To have a laugh a little bit. Did you see their number 7? Guadeloupe's number 7. Brother, the man taller than me, are you from?
Yeah.
That kid is not 15 or 16 years old. He's not even 17, bro. You need some bird paper upon that kid. Then the number 7, brother, the man a tower over everybody. And I hear Dixie is not a small youth. And the man a tower over. The man big Bridget. The number 7. I don't know if people that miss it, but that kid was super.
No, Guadeloupe had some big players, you know. You saw their goalkeeper, he was massive as well, you know. The number 5, he was a defender going up against Jamani Bell for the most part of the game, you know. Just bigger, but Jamani Bell was still managing to get around him, take the ball off his feet, so on and so forth. This is the first time that I've seen a team, like teams, just be bigger than us. We saw Trinidad come into Anthony Sparring Sporting Complex, and Trinidad absolutely outpowered us. They were absolutely bigger than us in every single position at every given point. The Trinidadians were bigger than us. You know, I've been seeing the US team, they're big, the Canadian team, they're big. You know, this competition is filled with a lot of big players. You know, but besides that, Molina, we have Bent on the bench. Adrian Reed has some size. You know, Simmons comes off the bench with some size as well. Twain Lynch is pretty big, but we're not a very big team, this Jamaica team. You know, we don't have much size. That's not something that we possess, that we generally do. So that should be interesting. You know, it brings me back to the under-17 team that qualified for the World Cup when Alpha spoiled. He was already 6 foot tall. You know, Holness was massive. Nico Campbell was big. You know, we saw like a lot of players in the successful teams being big and powerful. This team, we don't really have that size in our pocket.
All right, let's talk about how the group is looking so far. So Jamaica is currently on 3 points. Jamaica, Costa Rica, and Guadeloupe are all on 3 points. We have played 2 games along with Guadeloupe. Costa Rica played 1 game. They are going to play the second game against Cuba. A lot of people will be counting that 3 points. So a lot of people will be expecting Costa Rica to be on 6 points after 2 games. And that will put us in second position, which is where we don't want to be. Because I checked out the implications, but I think if you finish first, if I'm not mistaken, if you finish first, you play Puerto Rico that got a bye to the next round. It's not a great team. The 4 teams got a bye to the second round, who are technically the 4 worst ranked team. But again, ranking not really do much to win at this competition. But you'd want to finish first and face Puerto Rico. The second place team in this group will face a first place team in the next group. And I think that first place team is America. The third place team in this group will face a second place team. So where we want to be is either first or
Canada. And it should be Canada.
I'm not sure if that second place team come from that same group, you know. That the third place team would play. But again, you have the first place team that you expect. Mexico, I think Panama, USA is going to top their group, and Costa Rica is going to top our group. So we just don't want to play those first place teams. But if we get a second place team, bro, that's where we want to be, either third or first. Now, going into the next game, which we face Costa Rica, I would expect Costa Rica to beat Cuba, right? That will put them on 6 points. What we would then want to do when we play Costa Rica is lose
or beat them.
Now, if we beat them, then we are going to go up on 6 points and now we are waiting for goal difference, depending on how much they beat Cuba by.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It would literally just be easier to lose and finish third and get an easier match. No. Is this the mentality we want to have? No. We don't want to go in a game and say we want to lose it. But if Jamaica lose against Costa Rica, that would put us third and put Guadeloupe second. Guadeloupe will get the USA fixture and we will get the second place fixture. Going into that game, would you just take the loss, bro? You would have tank it?
As in, well, you can't say that yet. How did the Costa Rica Guadeloupe game go first and foremost?
It not going it.
Yeah, Costa Rica play Guadeloupe.
But the Costa Rica Guadeloupe was 2-1.
2-1.
Yeah.
So depending on
Costa Rica
how it
Guadeloupe
looks,
2-1.
I don't think. Do you think Costa Rica are going to give Mexico? I mean, give Cuba 4? So you can't really think about that before the Cuba game.
Them not need to give them 4.
4-2. That mean score. That may I say.
Them not need to score 4. They need to give them 2 love or 3-1
Yeah,
or 3
exactly.
love.
So that's what I'm saying. Do you think they're going to be 3 goals clear Cuba? So we can't make that call right now before that game.
What we do expect them to do is beat them though.
Exactly. So if them beat them 2-love, or if them beat them 1-love, or if them beat them 2-1, or if them beat them 4-2, then we go for win the game.
Alright, we go for win the game and we win the game, but them still got one goal difference. They know.
That's what I'm saying. How are we going to know if they're going to get up on goal difference before seeing this Cuba game? If suppose them beat Cuba 1-0, all we have to do is win the game.
No.
Yes.
If them beat Cuba 1-0, they would be on +2. Right? And we would be on +1.
Yeah, you said
we need at least a 2. We need to beat them at least 2.
We just need to beat them 1-0, and then we'd have the same goal difference and we'd have got you on the head-to-head.
Head-to-head is the next thing?
Yeah. Or even goal scores, we'd have still got you to them on goal scored anyways, even if goal scored on the next thing, because we score more goals. So we can't make that assertion until we know how they play against Cuba. It can be out. They can beat Cuba 1-0.
Yeah, and I don't expect them to beat Cuba 1-0. I just don't. But let's Cuba the worst team in the group, bro. And
yeah, I didn't watch the game. I remember watching the highlights, and they weren't.
Guadeloupe.
Yeah, they weren't Guadeloupe. They weren't super dominative over Guadeloupe. You know, Guadeloupe created Costa Rica. Guadeloupe created chances. They created chances. Today, if we played how we played in the first half, the whole 90, we could have easily dealt with Guadeloupe. We could have easily been 3 or 4 goals better than Guadeloupe.
What may I say? Going into the game, we don't know yet. We clearly don't know yet.
Yeah.
Because suppose Cuba come and surprise you and draw with them or game.
Exactly. So we can't talk about that right now.
No, but may I say the likely thing, and most people.
You think it's likely that so you're saying you think it's likely that there's 3 goals better than Cuba? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, bro.
What indications do you have to say that?
First of all,
them beat Guadeloupe 2-1.
They're supposed to be the best team in this group. That's the first thing. Second of all, them beat Guadeloupe 2-1. I'm looking on the highlights. Alright, I can't tell much from the highlights. Also, I saw Cuba.
We played Guadeloupe and we played Guadeloupe and we saw where we were 3 goals better than Guadeloupe in the first half alone. And Costa Rica give them 2-1. Guadeloupe never see a goal, them never see any chances until like the 50th minute when them start.
Yeah, but then we give them a look in at what them do. So most of them have the ability to do things. So now just right now Guadeloupe like that. But the Cuba game,
them score upon Costa Rica.
Yeah, them score upon Costa Rica. But I see Cuba, that's what I said. I see Cuba and Cuba not good. I see Cuba and Cuba worse than Guadeloupe. I see it. You get me? I say so. I expect them to beat up Cuba still, and then going into we have a decision to make because I know we don't want to finish second, and I know that they know the implications of that. But people, I just wanted you guys to understand what we're being faced with. The best thing to do
I personally don't think Costa Rica has 3 goals up against the Cuba team. Because even Cuba managing to score against us, you know, Cuba did manage to create goals first in the latter part of the game. Cuba did manage to create opportunities against the Jamaica team who played very well. So personally, I don't think Costa Rica have Cuba by 3 goals. And if that's not the case, then all we need to do is go in with the mentality to beat Costa Rica, which is the mentality that we should have regardless. And even if them have Cuba by 3 goals, them don't have Cuba by 5 or 6. So even if them beat Cuba by 4 goals, our mentality is go in and beat Costa Rica by 2 goals to nil. And that's just how we have to approach this next coming game. But the Cuba game, you know, should be playing concurrently while this is aired. You know, so that should be interesting. I'll definitely be watching that game to see how that story.
Yeah, cause we really want to see how them teams stay. We want to know what to expect going into the Costa Rica game. Costa Rica is up 1-0 right now, by the way. And it's 9 minutes into the game. I'm telling you that Cuba will get it. I'm telling you. But I could see. Hopefully them don't get it in the cause. Hopefully Cuba can come back and 2-1 or 3-1. And even that put Cuba in it now and them can finish second or whatever. But that we have to say. Anything else on the under 17, we're almost on the 1-1 mark. Why? That happened for us. Anything else I want to talk about under 17 or anything?
Not much, I'm just curious to see how the rest of the night pan out and how Thursday goes on. This seems like unfortunately a regression to the mean, as they may say. Where we overachieving in our first two games. We see that the boys have the potential and the capabilities to play well. Not sure what happened in the second half. I'm not sure what happened in the latter parts of the Cuba games either. We conceded those two goals. And I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure about our defense who we're so sure about. And something else that I wanted to mention. Trinidad and Tobago are doing pretty well. Losing two games, but are doing very well. Losing to Canada and losing to the United States of America. But in both games, putting up formidable performances, scoring two goals, I think, against USA, scoring against Canada. Two teams who are two of the favorites to come out and do well in this competition. We managed to beat that Trinidad team 1-0 twice. Considering that they went out and they've put up very good performances, very good showings for themselves, scoring very good goals against USA, scoring very good goals against Canada. Could it be that Trinidad were just a very formidable foe and that's why they gave us so much problems in those two warm-up games against Jamaica? I think that very well may be a possibility. So probably Trinidad, well, obviously Trinidad is a solid team. Just being placed in a rough zone. To be placed in a zone with Canada and USA, that's unfortunate. And the only good thing that can come from that is that when you come out of that zone third, you won't have to really worry about USA and Canada again for a while, when it really, really matters. So I think they could see the glass as half full, seeing that coming out of the next zone, coming into the next round and probably next two rounds, they probably won't have to worry about Canada or USA. So that's good for Trinidad. And I think Trinidad really push USA to the limit, really push Canada to the limit. That gives me hope for Jamaica.
Costa Rica 2-0 up.
Costa Rica are 2-0 up?
2 minutes. In about 2 minutes, 11 minutes.
Well, it looked like the floodgates. Well, so
what would you know?
You can talk about that now. You can talk.
But me expect it, bro. Me expect Cuba to get done. But see it happen. What would you know? What would you know? We'll go and just take a 1-0.
Well, you have to do what you have to do, if that's what you have to do.
But we have to be careful still in a car. Cuba still have got to do. And then anything can go on there. So we don't want to stack up a goal difference. They're on 3 points with all of them, with the rest of 3 teams them. And then we realize that we're the fourth in the group. But yeah, this is something to think about, man.
That's not the strategy I want to mill over.
No, I didn't know. That's not the strategy I wanted.
Probably
this is the position we put ourselves in, bro.
Probably we'll go live and talk about it tomorrow, but it's not something that I can wrap my head around. You go out and you just try win. We saw where they did it in the women's championship, losing to the United States of America 5-0, not playing anybody of note, resting players left, right, and center, and you're like, did they intentionally lose this match? Did they mail this match in to have the strongest side for, I think it was Mexico in the last game? And it seemed as though that's what they did, reaping success during the World Cup. Let's see what Marion Garden tells his young set of boys to do. Curious to see what happens on Thursday.
Yeah. All I know is I don't want to face USA in the next round. That doesn't give us a very good shot at the World Cup.
Cruz Medina having a couple of goals in the MLS, scoring a hat trick in the first game. He plays for San Jose and he has next for the U17 and he's really putting his stamp on this under-17 competition.
Mexico also looking great. Mexico running away with their group, scoring 11 goals. Having a goal difference of 11 already. Yeah, I don't want to see those teams in the next round. Obviously, just 4 teams can make it too. So, if we have to see one of those teams, let's see them in the quarterfinals.
As I said, coming into this competition, I was super optimistic that we would have secured qualification, and this.
We're here now, man. We're there.
This last to Suriname, is kind of just. I keep saying Suriname, Guadeloupe is just flinging nails into her coffin, left, right, and center. Yes,
Gotcha.
like
Well,
I'm hearing the Costa Rica game in the background, and you can see it just has me so dejected right now. The score just constantly getting worse and worse. Frustrating.
gotcha. Let's go, Cuba. Let's go. We need 2 goals. But yeah, this is it. Student Talk, under 17 Reggae Boys and their World Cup quest. Let's go, Reggae Boys.
We'll next a part 2 on Thursday after the
Yeah,
game is finished.
yeah. Um,
We
yeah,
probably
expect the show late because we need to see the game and then talk about it. So
probably
yeah,
tune,
yeah,
So
it's a pretty
we might,
show.
we might be disappointed after a victory
Mm,
on
I'll be
Thursday.
disappointed
Not
after a victory.
disappointed, but we might be it might be a daunting task as a result of a victory on Thursday. Can you
Yup,
imagine that?
yup, yup. But yeah, we that. Reggae Boys, let's go, let's go, let's go. People, if you like this episode
Cuba,
of Student Talk,
Cuba, let's go.
eh?
The Reggae Boys done wet the bed already. Cuba.
Yeah. Where's the Cuba? Let's go.
Yeah. Vamos!
There we go. If you like this episode of Student Talk, people, like the show, man. Hit the like button. Blow it up. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Talk to us in the live chat. We are there. We're talking to you. We're communicating. Do it now, please. I like how the show done now. Just leave a comment and say your big show.
Tell them to talk to them in the live chat when the show done already.
No, man, but so right now, them can still tell a big show in a live chat and make a respond. But like how it done, just respond to the comment and just make the algorithm know, say, yeah, watch it, you like the thing. You see it? And do one more thing, though.
You know what them need for as soon as them type something in the live chat, just go to the comment section and type something.
Straight.
Can be something different, and you can just copy and paste a comment, put it in the live chat. The comments, it even matter. You get me? But comment, live chat, do both of them. And share the video to at least 10 people, but ensure to get us 6 subscribers. Because if each and every one of you guys can manage to do that, do you know how many subscribers that get us by the end of the day, people?
Holy. For now, people, this is still the talk.
And this was This or That Sports TV.
Yeah.